I really think that they should be pressing charges against her. She did something dishonest and immoral, and they should be. It's unfair that she's getting special treatment.
I think everyone's innocent until proven guilty, and she was proven that she's not guilty. Obviously, they're not recommending charges, so she's in the good.
I think that if any private citizen had done what she did, he or she would be in a great deal of trouble.
I think if it was any lay person or any other high-profile person, they probably would have pressed more charges.
I don't think they really investigated her hard enough.
I don't trust either of them, but I'm still going to vote for Trump.
Oh my gosh, I can't even say who I would trust more. I would honestly have to say her, but even in light of things, it's kind of changed my decision.
Probably neither of them. They're both really dishonest people.
If my choice is only the two of them, Trump.
Neither, but probably Trump more than the other one.
I trust Trump more because he's a businessman, and I think he understands, America a little bit more than she does. She's a politician.
When it comes to our political leaders, we always talk about trust, how we want to trust them, how they never really pay us back after we hand them power and our trust, and how we believe certain people can be trusted despite a history that proves anything but. We have been for some time now, as voters, more gullible than the individual who goes to a local carnival and believes those carny games are all random chance and we can trust the lady behind the counter because she looks so sweet and innocent. In reality, she's a hardened pro at this game who will shake you down and leave you wanting more. And even after she's fleeced us, we'll still trust her because we're saps. We never really learn. So let us dive deep into this issue of political trust with a man who has been dealing with the system for decades and has undoubtedly shaken hands with more than a few people where he counts his fingers to make sure they all come back as promised. Count the reasons you should be dialing us up right now. 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Co-host from noon to 3 Eastern Time weekday afternoons. Right back as solo host at 5 p.m. Eastern weekdays on WABC 77 in New York City. Curtis Sliwa joins us here on the Hard Line. All right, Curtis, you heard it all on the introduction right here, my friend. I know that you've done that as well as I. I grew up in New York like you. You always check, make sure the fingers all come back in one shot, especially with politicians. So then, knowing what we know now, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump and all this, but especially Hillary Clinton, how are we supposed to trust anybody with our vote? Why should we trust anybody?
Well, I certainly made up a decision a while back when I recognized that we're going to be stuck with Her Majesty Hillary Rodham Clinton and not the alta caca Bernie Sanders. I wanted to impale myself, but it's okay, that's the Democrats. Then I was hoping for somebody to emerge amongst the 17 Republicans. And who did we end up with? The screwball Trump. So I'm going third party. I'm going Johnson, the former governor of North New Mexico, and his running mate Weld from Massachusetts. Seems like they're the only two straight cards in the deck who've actually run state governments and seem to know what they're talking about and aren't necessarily always lying.
Are we not at a point in our political history and our national history where maybe this is a good thing? Maybe people now seem to look back at themselves and say, look, we put ourselves here. We're the voters. We're the ones who 20, 30, 40 years ago, we voted for people we really didn't know, issues we didn't understand, and we put ourselves in this spot. Maybe now we'll actually do a little more research and homework. Oh, my God, head's going to explode any minute now, Curtis. It means we got to do work as voters.
Well, I never thought of that. You mean maybe administer a political colonic to ourselves, right? And get the same results. All those years we were bamboozled, the age of Camelot, right? All of the Kennedys in meantime, the decadence and debauchery, Richard Nixon, Tricky Dicky. You're absolutely right. There's been a legacy of this, and each and every election, we hope beyond all hope that it'll change all that. And we had him, the savior, the Mashiach. It was Barack Obama. Remember, he wasn't a professional politician. He was so green. He had just been a U.S. senator for such a brief time, and he turned out to be the same old, whining, dining, and pocket lining. The guy spent more time on Wall Street than he did in the White House.
All right, 1-877-NEWSMAX if you folks want to join us here in the 5 or so minutes that we have left here. Before we leave Hillary Clinton behind, just get your take on all this and what happened today with the congressional hearings. Do you think there seems to be that fine line, Curtis, it's being cut between she said something false and she lied because it was false, but she didn't lie. All right, Curtis, where are you going to go ahead and cook this pie?
Don't Don't you understand it? Then you listen to Mr. Integrity. He keeps anointing himself as the only honest man in Washington, the FBI director Comey. He keeps saying she's incompetent. Yeah, she's a stunad. Yeah, she's reckless. But she's incompetent because you know what? She's like us baby boomers. We don't know how to operate our iPhones, our smartphones, or how to operate the iPads. We don't even know about Wi-Fi. It's really these hipsters and these millennials, they know all about it. But where was Huma? Huma, you know, the wife of Anthony the Wiener Wiener, who's probably still busy doing selfies of his three-piece set, and I'm not talking about his knife, his spoon, and his fork. It should have been the hipsters who should have rode to the rescue. You know, oofa to this FBI director. He's as political as any of them, right down to the marrow of his bone.
Please don't ever use Anthony Weiner in a sentence again, because all of a sudden you just made me remember something, and I'm really not really comfortable with dinner now after this, okay? Let's turn to something a little more serious here. What's happening in America? 2 police shootings in the last few days. In Baton Rouge, a 37-year-old black man is shot. In Minnesota, police open fire on a black driver and kill him, and that's less than 48 hours after the shooting in Louisiana. We are looking at a time right now where this nation is wanting answers. The governor of Minnesota, Mark Dayton, came out today, and in his opinion, he said these shootings are clearly racist. Here's what he said.
Nobody attended to his condition as they were attending to the condition of the police officer who did the shooting. She was handcuffed and taken to police station with her four-year-old daughter. I mean, it's just the stark treatment. I find absolutely appalling at all levels. Would this have happened if those passengers, the driver and the passengers, were white? I don't think it would have.
Curtis, does this still permeate New York City and the region? Because having grown up there as a kid, I know that a lot of this was around there at the time. Is this still the feeling there in New York? And how did New York City manage to get past this, where people, quite frankly, are afraid of driving black?
Well, look, first off, there's no doubt that was a bad shooting in Baton Rouge and even a worse shooting in Minnesota. But racist? Do we really think these cops woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to go out there and get me a black man or a black woman and shoot them dead on arrival, knowing they would destroy their career and destroy the career of others around them? No. They were incompetent, right? Hillary goes off scot-free. They're going to end up paying the price. But I'll tell you this, I'm going to Chicago this weekend, where they had 60 shootings over the July 4th weekend. 5 dead, 3 of them children, black on black crime. Nobody seems to care anymore. Is Hillary going to her hometown? Barack Obama, Michelle Obama? In fact, they're not even going to move back to Chi-Town because it's too dangerous. In fact, George Lucas said he won't even put the Star Wars Museum on the North Shore of Chicago because of all the drive-bys and the gangbangers. So let's balance this out a little bit and look at the real deal of what's going on in America. Blacks kill blacks, we don't care. But if it's a white cop killing a black suspect, oh, the whole world gets up in an uproar.
All right, we got about 90 seconds left. Let's grab a couple of phone calls here before we get out of here. Ken is in Tinley Park, Illinois. Let's get back to the Hillary Clinton issue here. Ken, you think the FBI had enough evidence to charge Hillary? So 30 seconds in. Why didn't they?
Well, I believe they do. If you look at Rod Blagojevich, he lied to investigators. I believe it was the FBI also. They put him in jail for 13 years.
All right. Neil from Portage, Wisconsin is up next. You believe Donald Trump is more trustworthy on the second part of what we talked about tonight. Why is he more trustworthy than Hillary? Neil, 30 seconds.
Absolutely, because I remember with the Benghazi incident, Hillary sent a classified message to her daughter about the attack that started an hour earlier. And does her daughter have a security clearance? Okay, so she's up to her neck in violating the law, and she should have and should still be punished.
All right, we appreciate it. We're having a little problem with your phone. Curtis, 30 seconds left to you right now. Do we just, you seem to have already resigned yourself to the fact that Hillary Clinton's going to win this election.
No. Because remember, there could be, God forbid, an act of terrorism here domestically. That would shift the parameters to Trump. Or it could be a downturn in the economy, because it's all about coin in your pocket. I still say, though, forget those two, because they're mishigash. They're crazy. They're insane in the brain. And Hillary's a crook. Go with the the Libertarian Party, Gary Johnson for president candidate and William Weld for vice president, will be much safer and much more secure with those two straight eggs.
Weekdays at noon and 5 p.m. Eastern, 77 WABC in New York, online at WABCRadio.com. And next week we will have a translator here so that we know exactly what Curtis is saying in Yiddish. Curtis Sliwa, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. I am back on Monday taking a long weekend. So you have yourself a great weekend. I'll see you back then. Rock on, true believers. Good night and good luck.